A huge weather pattern change will be coming to the United States over the next couple of weeks, and this is going to lead to more winter storms, but in a very different area than what we've been dealing with throughout the entire month of January. In addition to that, the temperatures are going to be on a roller coaster for the next few weeks, as we are going to be seeing much warmer weather in much of the country, but we will be having some Arctic blasts, especially in February. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks, and we'll begin with what's happening across the United States today. And to begin with, we have a lot of moisture right now along the Gulf Coast and back through the East Coast. This has actually led to some showers and even some thunderstorms last night back over in Texas. Overall, no severe weather out of this, but this will continue to dump some rain as we go throughout the daytime today, back over in the southeast and as well as along the East Coast. And this is all due to a strong Pacific Ocean jet stream, which is lifting tons of moisture from the Pacific Ocean back into the southern plains and into the southeast. You can literally see the clouds that are moving here to the northeast, and that is all the moisture that is going to continue to build here over the next few days in the southern plains. And we are expecting a big rainmaker as we go into the middle of this week, especially in Texas and as well as Oklahoma, and then that'll lead to severe weather and even perhaps a winter storm. And then back over on the west coast, there is great news. We've been watching showers and even some thunderstorms across the southern California region, including Los Angeles, and we are expecting another half an inch to an inch of rain today in some locations before eventually the rain starts to taper down. But this is definitely benefiting the wildfires right now. It is really starting to simmer those down. We are starting to see some great progress being made. All that moisture is definitely going to be helping to be able to fight these wildfires over the next couple of days. Now, the weather is going to be changing a ton over the next couple of weeks, as we are going to have a very different weather pattern than what we've been dealing with throughout the entire month of January. And it all begins with right now what we're seeing. We have a zonal flow right now throughout most of the jet stream across everywhere in the southern tier of the United States, which in most cases, this does lead to less extreme weather events and as well as milder weather. And we are definitely seeing that right now, but it is going to change as we go into the middle and end of this week. Once this disturbance that's back over in California begins to speed up a little bit and then eventually turns to the north and northeast, we are expecting a huge storm to form, and there will be a few more behind that one as well as we go into February. Another key thing is our polar jet stream, which brings a lot of the cold air out of Canada, is currently centered back over in Canada. And as we go throughout this week, we are expecting snow in the northeast and as well as the Great Lakes region, in addition to another shot of cold air in the northeast. Now, as we go throughout the week, we are going to be watching that low pressure system back over in the southwest eventually move over the Rocky Mountains, especially as we go into Wednesday. And this right here will be what is going to bring a lot of rain and as well as a threat for some snowfall, especially to the Rocky Mountains as we go into Wednesday. And then here's your polar jet stream. That's going to be dipping across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, which is going to usher in some very cold air as we go into both Wednesday and Thursday in the Northeast and the Midwest. Snow is going to be a main concern back over in the Northeast, which could again lead to several inches of snowfall. By Thursday, that trough is going to be intensifying over the Rocky Mountains, and this is going to lead to a couple of different things, one of which being a lot of rainfall, and also the threat for severe weather will be returning. And then in addition to that, we are going to be watching for snow back over in the Rocky Mountains. Now, this winter storm in particular is going to be mostly for those in the Rockies on Wednesday and Thursday. However, as we go into Friday and into Saturday, this trough will be moving across the Midwest, and there will be enough cold air for there to be some snow and maybe even freezing rain from the Midwest back through the Northeast. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a moment. Notice how the jet stream winds remain pretty strong. And again, that is definitely something to keep in mind, especially for Thursday, where there is going to be an elevated threat for severe weather back over in Texas, where damaging winds and even a few tornadoes will be in play. And then eventually by the weekend into early next week, things are very different. We are going to have a huge ridge across the United States, which is going to dry things out for most of the country, and we're not going to be dealing with many winter storms, at least for the first few days of February, but I think that's going to change as we get closer to the second week of February, once we start to see winter storms really start to ramp up here as the jet stream begins to dip again back over on the west coast of the United States. Over the next couple of weeks, we will be experiencing several different winter storms in the United States, and the first one is actually going to be happening over the next couple of days. This is actually happening back over in Canada today into early tomorrow, with moderate to heavy snowfall in many areas. Now, it will not really be much of a winter storm in the Northeast as we go into Tuesday, but there will be some moderate snowfall at times, and especially back over in western New York, where we could actually be dealing with upwards of a foot of snow in a couple of areas, especially near Lake Ontario and as well as Lake Erie. This snow will be moving, though, into the Northeast as we go throughout the daytime on Tuesday. We'll talk more about how much snow you can expect in a moment. Right behind that one, another shot of snow will move right into the Northeast as we go into Wednesday, anywhere from northern Wisconsin back into New York. There will be some snowfall Wednesday morning, eventually into the afternoon and early evening hours. It's mostly just light snow in the northeast, and it'll be relatively scattered. So again, not expecting a full-blown winter storm here, but there will definitely be some snowfall. As we go into Thursday and Friday, that is when our next big storm will be forming in the southern plains. This will bring both snow, rain, and as well as severe weather as we go into Thursday, and we are expecting the threat for damaging winds and even a few tornadoes to exist in Texas. And look at this as we go into Friday into Saturday. This storm is going to be large, and it's going to be bringing a lot of rainfall. For those that need rainfall right now and you're in a drought, you can expect some good rainfall out of this, especially in the Dixie Alley, back into the Ohio Valley, and along the East Coast. Eventually, as we go into Saturday and into Sunday, there will be a shot here for some snow and freezing rain. It's going to be a pretty low chance, I think, that we're going to be dealing with any sort of major impacts here, unless the freezing rain or snow event is actually larger than currently forecasted. But for the time being, it does not look to be the biggest threat out of this particular storm. I would say that the biggest concern right now is going to be both rain and as well as severe weather down in the deep south and the southern plains. Eventually, by Sunday into Monday, things do get a lot more hairy here. We don't exactly know what's going to be happening during the first few days of February quite yet, but we do know that the temperatures will likely stay above average for most of the country, and we are going to have some more winter storms likely during the first couple of weeks of February. The first one that catches my eye here is the one that's back up here in Canada. This is a little Alberta clipper. Again, exactly where snow falls is very uncertain with that, but it might be something that we're going to have to watch for in the Midwest and the Northeast. And then something else that'll likely develop right behind that will be another big storm as we go sometime into the later half of next week. But keep in mind, this is well over 7 days from now. The forecasting confidence here is very low. I'm just saying here that I do expect there to be several different storms over the next couple of weeks, and I do think another big winter storm is on the horizon in the United States. In terms of severe weather, I do expect there to be some damaging winds, hail, and maybe even an isolated tornado threat both Wednesday and Thursday. The first threat will be on Wednesday night. That's mainly across central Texas with damaging winds and again an isolated tornado being possible. Thursday is the day that we have to watch for the closest, I think. There could be a more robust severe weather setup if we get more instability. And by the way, this is the instability map. It basically shows you how unstable the atmosphere is forecasted to be. Doesn't look to be super unstable on Thursday, but there will be a lot of wind shear that will compensate for that. So that means that we will likely at least have some damaging winds and maybe a few tornadoes. This will be primarily in southeast Texas and then back into western Louisiana on Thursday. And then by Friday into Saturday, maybe a lingering isolated severe weather threat back over in the Dixie Alley. But it does not appear to be anything super concerning, at least for right now. Again, that could change. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below as we'll keep you posted with the latest on severe weather and also winter storms throughout the month of February. If you're in the Northeast, we can expect several inches of snow as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. We are expecting the bulk of that snowfall to be in western and upstate New York. However, there will be areas across New England that will pick up anywhere from a coating to a few inches of snowfall. I do think this will continue to stack up, especially as we go throughout the month of February. I do think it's actually going to be pretty active in the Northeast when it comes to snowfall, especially in the first couple of weeks of February, where we are anticipating a few more Alberta clippers to be going right across Canada and then eventually going into areas like the Northeast. But as of right now, not any big nor'easters in the forecast here in the Northeast. Now, this is your chances of seeing greater than 3 inches of snowfall over the next couple of weeks. This is all the way through January 31st. We are expecting a winter storm back over New Mexico and Colorado. Looks like it's going to be a 1 to maybe 2 day event. Definitely good for the mountainous regions there, definitely for skiing. But as we go into the weekend, into the following week, so throughout the first week of February, notice how the odds of us seeing greater than 3 inches of snowfall do continue to increase here across the Midwest, the northern plains, back into the Pacific Northwest, and throughout most of the Northeast as well. Overall, take some of this with a grain of salt. Again, notice that a lot of these probabilities are still on the low to medium side, like the Midwest, for example, 30 to 40% chance, and this could definitely change. Again, there is a lot of time between now and February 7th, for example, which is what this runs through. But I do think that our odds for winter storms are going to be much higher to the north compared to the south, which is what we've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. Most of the winter storm tracks will likely move here across the central plains and then eventually through the Midwest and the Northeast, compared to what we just saw over the last few weeks where we had winter storms that were tracking more like this, which were way further down to the south. I don't really anticipate that to be as common, at least for the next few weeks. And the temperatures will continue to be on a roller coaster for most of the country. Throughout the rest of this week, above average temperatures are expected across the Great Plains and back into the southeast. We will have a few shots of cold air back over in the northeast over the next few days as the threat for snow will increase, in addition to the low pressure systems that'll be moving through that region. Eventually, by the weekend into early next week, almost the entire lower 48 will have above average temperatures, which is something we've not really seen, it feels like, since December. It's actually been a long time since we saw something like this, but look at this back up here. in the Pacific Northwest. All those pinks are not a good thing if you're looking for warmer weather, because this will likely be our next shot of cold air. The good news is, at least for right now, it does not appear as if it'll be entering the United States for a little bit. It's going to have to really come into the country once we have a low pressure system that moves over the Rocky Mountains. Exactly when that happens is very uncertain, but it will probably end up happening around the second week of February, and we will likely have an Arctic blast during the second week of February, as long as that all pans out. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates, and we'll keep you posted with the latest on the weather here across the United States. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.